So today we are, I'm happy to present Richa Sukla, who's with the Sesame workshop in India, or in India, and she's going to be talking about that they've developed STEAM program. So it's technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, and very interesting program. So she's focused on for it's a program focused on for children at the early years, so preschool as well as the early grades. So we have a little bit of a technical. So she's actually via phone, and so I hope it's okay. Between you're not able to hear her, just let me know in the chat box, and then I'll try to fix it as much as I can. But thank you for understanding and your patience with this. So without further ado, hand it over to Richa, who's going to do the presentation. Thank you.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, hi. Hello, everyone. I hope you're all able to hear me. Good morning. Good afternoon. I work in a workshop in India, the curriculum, the content development for their preschool and after-school initiatives. So today, we'll talk about developed as what Discoverers Club. It is an after-school program for children of 6 to 8 years. This is primarily a program which has science, technology, engineering, arts, its primary focus. And we are it is a pan-India program. We want to penetration into tier 3 cities of India and not metros. So, is my slide visible? I am not sure.
Yes,
it one up there.
Slide one is up.
Right. So I just want a context here that works with a mission. Children reach their highest potential. And while we are trying to make a difference in childhood education by providing quality education school space, we thought to extend it to the elementary level also, where the understanding, children need a good foundation for them to really develop interest in development for their preschool initiatives. So I'm going to talk about a project developed as what we call Discoverers Club, the school program for age group of 6 to 8 years. So this is primarily a STEAM program, science, technology, engineering, arts as its primary focus. So we are targeting, it has to be a PAN program, which is that we want to have a penetration into tier 2, tier 3 cities of India and not just the metros. Is my slide first visible? I am not sure.
Yes, it's visible.
Slide one up there.
Slide one is up.
All right. So I just want to set a context here that Sesame workshop works with a mission to help children reach their highest potential. And while we are trying to make a difference in the early childhood education by providing quality education in the preschool space, we thought that we need to extend it to the elementary level also, because that's where the understanding, the concepts, come into picture, and children need a good foundation for them to actually develop interest into these subjects. So And it was equally important. It was equally important for us to educate the caregivers at the same time and make them aware of how our initiatives will benefit the children and expand their horizon. So because I am largely talking in the Indian context, and I don't know how much everybody is aware of it, but back in India here we face a lot of challenge with the awareness level of what a subject can lead to, what are its, what is the great horizon that a subject may present later, and what are the various.
I'm sorry about that. I hope that everyone can hear me. We had a little bit of a technical glitch on our side and the program just closed all of a sudden, but we're going to go ahead and continue the presentation. Sorry about that, Richa. Please continue.
Okay, is there some part of it that was not heard, or should I just start?
I think you can start. I think when you ended the last word, it probably cut off at that time. So you can go ahead and start.
Okay. Okay, so I was talking about building capacity for teachers in India. Many organizations, many studies have actually rated the teachers' capacity, teachers' readiness levels is really low. Central Institute of Education Technology being one of them, which also rated the teachers' understanding is very low. So we have to sort of make the program absolutely engaging. So I'm going to start with this first slide where as how we start, presenting this program, and that's how you will have a greater understanding of what we are and how we are working towards, making this program successful. So we start with a question of what do, a geneticist, a chemical engineer, and an architect have in common. So we move to the next slide.
Next slide is on.
Yeah, so we actually come to the elementary part of it. That's where we all begin. In class 1, they all learned one basic things. It could be anything. While I'm just put all living things, they learn about living and non-living things. They learn about their basic characteristics. So class 1 is where we sow the seeds of curiosity in children to understand the world, the nature, the natural phenomena around. Class 1 is where they actually start learning more in mathematics, and they start to actually explore, where they start exploring characteristics, they start understanding various concepts and understand cause and effect. Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, there was strange sound, so I just... Hello?
Yes, we can hear you okay.
Alright, so in class 1 is where they actually have this, we actually sow those seeds of curiosity in them, that what do they need to learn furthermore about. Next slide. So then where did they go from here? They move on to learn more and more concepts in science and maths, and I would move to the next slide and actually talk about it in detail. Can I move to the next slide? Yeah. So that's how I'm going to. I'll have to move these slides as I just talk about the classes. So in class 1, if we were to talk about how did they actually get into learning sciences, they learned about living in non-living things and animals, plants and their adaptations. We learned about material and properties, and why I'm telling you is that because this is how we actually have our program, which is very much in sync with the class 1, 2, 3 elementary syllabus, so that children can relate to what they are learning in school and how they are solidifying their concepts when they actually attend the program. So as we can see, when we move down the slide, in upper primary grades, can I move down the slide? Upper primary and then later, this is how the science of it expands, and that leads them to understand, where they are taking, and that's how they actually choose to make choices in subjects that they want to pursue later in life and actually make a profession choice. So if we come down later into the slide, can you just roll down and everything?
Right now it's showing class 7, 8, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, 9, 10, okay. 11, and 12. And so this is how I've just spread out the way science topics have been divided from elementary to primary to lower primary, upper primary, and the high school level. So that's how they actually go on to understand concepts at different levels and later get into a profession of their choice. So when we come down to another slide, we see that this is where, in an ideal world, children would understand concepts, discover their inclination towards any of these concepts, and then they want to acquire deeper understanding and then take that as a career choice. So if you see, there is a wide professions given here, from doctor to a evolutionary biologist to a biomedical engineer, app developer, software engineering. This is where it actually comes down to, but it started from class 1. So if we move to the next slide, next slide, please.
The next slide is on.
So the next slide says that it brings us back to the beginning. The beginning was class 1. Children start to construct new knowledge and make sense of their world. That's where we actually, they start making associations. They start forming association. So here, hello?
Yes, we can hear you okay.
Yes. I just keep getting this really vibration where I feel I've lost all the connections, so I just keep checking.
Okay, no problem, no problem. You can continue checking. We can hear you okay though.
Okay. So children construct new knowledge. This class 1 is where, and our club starts from class 1, 2, and 3, and that's how we actually want to, take it backwards from where it would end to make it very well relatable. So if we move to next slide. So it says studies conducted in private schools in India show that misconceptions acquired by children in early grades tend to later years. So we know for sure that began to tread this path, it had to be for them to continue space, to reach their desired destination. Over here I want to state an example of science is taught in India till date, barring a few schools, which are there in metropolitan cities who are following a very progressive education. Otherwise, it usually after read a few definitions highlighted, question answers right back of the page, and then the tests were conducted based on those question answers, and that was about it. There was no experiment. There's no time for child to understand whether he actually understood that the plant also has the same characteristic of the living has. So did we get chance to the child to think and explore if the child could make meaning from, say, maybe a nucleus or velocity for that matter, and to for them, these words remain definitions to mug up and continue to remain. So while children in India excel in theoretical, no sooner they face the challenge of trying these concepts and find themselves struggling. If they knew better, perhaps education would have been better. They know what a Pythagoras is, but when it comes to applying to various problem sums, that there was a struggle point. So if we move next slide. Next slide, please.
Next slide is on.
So, studies conducted here and also studies conducted by different organizations like CRIS and Wipro here. Children over here only on questions related to deeper or application of the concept mentioned in the previous, that we actually realized this to be a gap where it was a rote learning that has been happening, and this was a huge. There was the experiential learning was not coming. Children were actually not learning by doing. It was more of a chapter read, a question answer done, and that was about it. So if we see the next slide, we know that even PISA did a study where India was put at second from bottom position out of the 73 countries that participated in science, maths, and reading. So while I'm not talking much about the language literacy, although that also forms an essential, current part of it, science and math were more application-driven subjects, where they could actually tell what they have learned about basic characteristics, but if these characteristics apply to it, they know how a plant eats food. Did they actually try keeping a plant in a dark space? The photosynthesis was not happening. That doesn't work here, and that actually was the bridge that we have to build. If we go on to next slide. That's where we wanted to intervene, and we actually thought of this program as Discoverers Club, where we wanted to turn the elementary maths and science into a very entertaining, engaging, and a playful experience for children. That's where we want to make scientific concepts, whether it's learning about animals, your five senses, you're learning about simple machines, shelters, into a very joyful experience where it's hands-on activities that they are doing themselves to understand how these concepts work. Next slide, please. Travelers Club is an after-school enrichment program here for targeting 6 to 8-year-old children, which is again, as I mentioned, science and maths, using technology as a very essential part, because we have to somewhere develop the 21st century skills of collaborative communication, thinking, creative skills, and thinking also. So we have to technology also. This is a great medium of where they know that they can, they can act. We can use art forms using craft, play-doh, paintings, and stuff to actually these concepts, and also pretend play and discussions to and various elementary science concepts. We move on to the next slide. So we say little children, big adventures. Now, why we say big adventures? Because we have divided the Discoverers program into 3 basic modules where we allow children to take on identities of being detectives, explorers, and inventors to solve problems in real-world context. In a detective modules, maybe children will actually understand a concept of like a camouflage and how that happens, and animal adaptation. They do a crime scene analysis. They do, they go on to discover the mystery of the egg. We've given them an egg, and they have to actually, based on their studies, identify that this egg will belong to which animal. So similarly, in explorers, they take on journeys where they have to explore various scientific concepts, and in inventors, they actually get every day they are presented with a problem. They receive letters of the problem, and that's how they feel the need to invent and provide solution to that problem. So if we move on to the next slide. So how we actually conduct this program, these are 3 12-week modules, so detective modules, explorer modules, and inventor. Each of them is a 12-week module where, as I said, detectives is where children are taking on the identity of detectives. They are actually scientific method. It's a very basic approach. We follow the detective process, which is very similar to the scientific process. The focus will be on teaching kids the scientific method on how to use and understand the world around them. Then a scientific, like make a prediction, experiment, or observe your observations, and then share your findings. Each lesson plan will put a question and an activity that helps children to answer. Each day they will set up a mystery, there is a mystery for them which they have to solve as detectives. The children will record their findings in a detective diary, which will be a notebook given to each child, which has some templated, pre-printed pages. Similarly, with explorers, there is a process they follow where they identify, they understand what their destination is, they take on the journey, they identify various concepts, they make, they sort of experiment again, and they actually take the recordings into the explorer's journal. So all the activities in the explorer team can be they're loosely connected to each other. But each day's activity will be standalone too. Although there is a journey that's happening for explorers, but each day they actually have the new challenge, which will be a new science project, which will make them understand what form of transportation will be suitable to undertake the journey which lies ahead of them. How would they reach their destination? Which direction? What will help their vehicle to move faster, which actually helps them, understand air pressure, to actually build parachutes. So that's That's the kind of hands-on activities that they have to do. Similarly, for inventors, they receive letters every time they letters from people who are looking for solutions. So they want to then actually conduct experiments to find solution to these problems. And what we not mentioned here and we are actually working around is how do we assess the learning. So we have various tools, also have children rate the program, rate the module once they finish. What did they enjoy most? Which was the activity they enjoyed most, which helps us modify each time each unit is complete, And then we also have children-led conferences where they want to present their own work. They want to talk about to the parents and to an audience as to how they actually learned and what was the most challenging part of it, what is that they enjoyed most. After each unit in each of the modules, we present to them an experiment where they have to actually apply the conceptual understanding, what the concepts that they understood. So that's an interlude after each unit in each of the modules. So each module may have 4 units that will be based on a certain part of their journey as detectives, explorers, and inventors. So what does this take? Can you move the slide? Can you move the slide, please?
You're on the next slide.
So, why are medicine benefiting children? Next slide. That we are in the building blocks. We are providing them building block learning. That's where their concept on simple science, simple shells, force motion and animals, living beings are gather deeper conceptual understanding of measurements, oceans when they are actually taking a journey as an explorer area where they actually measure what their destination and distance would they have to. What is the kind equipment or a vehicle or a new mode of transportation that they have to build. We talk about machine, estimation, properties of water. They also learn about solar system, animal. So these are some of the concepts which they as detectives, explorers and inventors undertake. And these hands-on activities and the events and the collaboration, they use them to have to make new concepts which otherwise they were learning in a rote method at school. So next slide, please. To the next slide.
Next slide. It says skills that enable learning.
Yes. So skills that enable lifelong learning. Which are the skills that we want to focus on? Scientific process skills. Each of these more scientific process that children follow, and we have to talk how can they use the scientific process to actually meet challenges and to actually find solutions to the problem when they are faced with new challenges each day. Observation is one very important skill that we actually want to sort of nurture and enhance in children. Problem solving, data recording. Each time they conduct an experiment, they make a hypothesis, they talk about their predictions which they record and what is the actual. So if they are learning about force, motion and friction, and they see how a simple machine like ramp affects the speed of a vehicle, they estimate that if it is elevated to a certain height which they measure, what will be the distance, what will be an estimated distance covered by the vehicle. They predict the distance, and then they actually conduct these experiments by use of simple things like a scale or a toy and an that they use to build this. They actually conduct these experiments. They actually realize how their prediction was, how far their prediction was from the actual result. And that actually leads to what we call the 4 C's. If you see the next slide, that leads to children as creators, collaborators, and critical thinkers. These are the eventual C's that we actually may focus on in each of our programs, whether preschool, after school, or any of the interventions that we do, that we need to develop these children as critical thinkers and collaborators. And in each of these activities that they do, each of the units, they are forming a group. They actually conduct these experiments. They hold discussions. They actually discuss. They counter questions each other to actually come to a certain conclusion, which will be a group unanimous discussion, a unanimous sort of a point which they actually come to and make a discussion point and come to a solution. They actually work in groups, discuss and present a certain hypothesis or an answer. So these C's are very, very important for us. Next slide, please. Which brings us back to the beginning. So in class 1, class 2, and 3, if we actually expose these children to what these concepts are that they learn in class 1, 2, and 3 in elementary maths and science, and if they are able to actually make meaning from it and develop curiosity to understand deeper into how it works, we open a world of possibilities for children to take on, to understand that these open different vast avenues for them to take on professions like, architect, sound designer, biomedical engineer. So for us, the building block is the elementary science and maths, and these class 1, class 2, and class 3 science and maths is where it all begins from. So if we are able to lay this strong foundation, we know that we've sown the seeds of curiosity for them, and they have a deeper understanding of these concepts they are learning in these age groups. So this was all about how we are working Discoverers Club, and I welcome all the questions that you have now on this presentation.
Thank you so much, Richa, for that wonderful presentation. And I just wanted to open up maybe for the next 5 to 7 minutes. We can take some questions, and then any other remaining questions, what I'll do is I'll send them to Richa, and then or put you in contact with Richa, and then you can connect with her and have your questions answered then. But if anyone has any questions, if you could type it into the chat box. Okay, I think just to start off the question and answer session, Richa, I had a question. The Discoveries Club, do you target any particular socioeconomic group? Like, do you target like low-income children or like middle-income children?
No, as mentioned to you, Deepa, since we are actually targeting the tier 2, tier 1 cities also, we see that this gap is prevalent everywhere in every strata of our society. So it's not that we are targeting a section. No, it is available for all. We are not, as I mentioned, that the private schools in India also are teaching the same way. It's a rote learning method. So we it's not that we are targeting it to a socially, weaker section group. No, we are not doing that. It's open to all. This Discover Club is essentially a program that will take place in Sesame Street Preschool using the campus. So this is not the bottom of the pyramid, I would say, but also a level up. It's all private schools across India in various towns and cities. We obviously know that this program will not it's not aimed to the niche schools who are actually doing progressive education, because they are teaching science the same way. However, the private schools in metros, in tier 2, in B towns of the metros in the city and states, we are targeting it to all the mid-level state of the society also.
Okay, thank you.
It's not for the socio-economic weaker group.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. And it doesn't look like there's any questions at this moment, and we actually have to start wrapping up the webinar soon. So what I'm going to do is I will send your contact information to the community of practice, as well as the slides and everything. And if anyone has any follow-up questions, they can get in contact with you directly. Is that okay?
Absolutely fine. You can actually give my mail ID and they can contact me anytime if there's any questions, or if I need to sort of elaborate on something else that they would want to know more about it, I'll be happy to do so.
Okay, thank you so much, Richa, and for connecting.